Welcome. I'm Sherrod Brown. This is our daily 1245 discussion about the pandemic and our effort in Ohio and Washington to fight back on behalf of working families and to get this country back on track. I'm joined today by Sheldon, Whitehouse, Senator from Rhode Island, one of my best friends in the Senate. We joined the Senate on the same day in 2007. I'll introduce Sheldon in a minute. He and I have worked together on legislation that he's really led on to undo the huge tax break that Mitch McConnell gave to some of the richest people in the country. And, while most of us in Washington, while the Democrats especially were fighting for unemployment insurance, the $1,200 to every person below a certain income, fighting to help for the moratorium on evictions and foreclosures, fighting for money for state and local governments, fighting for money for hospitals, and fighting especially for testing, contact tracing, and all that we need to do to fight back against this pandemic. Mitch McConnell was doing his middle of the night sleight of hand that he does so well. Sheldon will tell you about that. We were fighting for just $1,200. We were fighting for $2,000 a person. Republicans were unwilling to do that. We had to settle $1,200 a person while Mitch McConnell was doing his tricks. Senator Whitehouse from Rhode Island, elected in 2006. He is the Senate's leading voice and strongest voice on a number of issues, from combating climate change to taking on the Chamber of Commerce to exposing the Supreme Court in its consistent 5-4 decisions for special interests and against women and against people of color and against the poor. So, Sheldon, tell us what you're doing on this one single issue, and Sheldon, Whitehouse.
So thanks, Sherrod. It's great to be with you. As Sherrod and I are on the Finance Committee together, and as we were working on this bill, nobody mentioned to us on the committee that there was this little provision tucked away in it that the Republicans had tucked away in Mitch McConnell's first draft, when he tried to get us to all vote for his draft, tried to stampede us with his usual Mitch McConnell jam job. Thankfully, we said no, so we could get all the things you mentioned: the money for the states, the additional money for the hospitals, the money out to individual families. But tucked in with that was a true Mitch McConnell special, which was, hold your breath, Joint Committee on Taxation has just updated the number, $161 billion. That's billion with a B. $161 billion for special tax provisions that almost entirely benefit the wealthy. 82% of that $160 billion will go to individuals who make more than $1 million a year. Not just millionaires who have $1 million, but people who make $1 million a year. And it goes straight into their pockets in the form of tax benefit. And I don't know, you can do the math, 0.8 times 160, it's over $100 billion into the pockets of about 43,000 Americans. And they actually put more money into that than they put into the hospitals fund. They actually put more money into that than they put into the fund for our states. One of our big achievements was to get some money to the states so that they can respond with all the costs COVID is causing them. More money went to these billionaires. So this is the kind of stuff that we have to deal with, and we've got to watch very carefully for these things being snuck in, and we're going to work very, very hard to get this bill passed that will undo that tax break. It's just totally, unseemly is such a mild word. It's disgusting to imagine that in a time of crisis, with people suffering like this, with so many Americans like rushing to the hospitals to be the frontline people, to be the nurses, to clean the emergency rooms, to serve in the ambulances, do all their incredible service, that what Mitch McConnell and the Republican are doing is cackling in the back room about how they're going to get an extra $100+ billion to their big donors.
Sheldon, thank you. And not only the $100 billion that he shoveled to his big donors, and it's always about that for Mitch McConnell. Just last week, he said that in essence, let them eat cake. He said on a Fox, I think it was a Fox interview, that he just is okay with letting local governments declare bankruptcy. And what does that mean for all the local government employees? What's it mean for services, police and fire, and the people that are doing the real work, as Sheldon says. So thank you for joining us. Stay tuned on this. Sheldon will lead this fight. I'll be involved in it. If we can't win it now, we win it after November with a new president and a new Senate. You can bet that this will be one of the first things we do to make the tax system fairer. And the first thing you do is you take away these outrageous tax break for the richest people, and then you do things like earned income tax credit and refundable child tax credit and all the kinds of things we should be doing for working families and middle class families. Sheldon, thank you for joining us. Good to see you. Hear your voice a lot, but don't see your face much. Good to have you on. Thanks, everybody. See you tomorrow at 12:45. Thank you, folks.